Hello there. This is Devlog number 3 of the Game Boy Studio game that I'm doing, which is like a platformer. I take some inspiration from Super Mario Land 2 and Mega Man. I might as well showcase a few things that I've been working or that I've been doing in the past week, and I'm trying to do a devlog every week or so. I think with that there should be at least some content that I can show. If I feel like I need to extend the not the gap, but the a different time between the different devlogs, like 2 weeks or so, then I will do so. But I felt like I had at least sufficient in order to show. So first things first, we got a new scene over here, which this is like at the beginning of the game when you first play the first part of the game, which is kind of like a brief tutorial so you can get accustomed to the controls and whatnot. This is like a brief cutscene. Said I asked for permission. And they get defeated. This needs I need to reduce like the tiles on that a little bit because there are constraints in terms of the limit. They're limited on the amount of tiles that can be used depending on the scene that you're doing. So generally for cutscenes you want to use logos, but I tend to use like a different type of scene. So I'm able to do like more effects without having glitches. That one, while I'm using platformer, I need to reduce the amount of tiles being used. Oh yeah, this is a little cave that I'm doing. There's not really much here at the moment. This was just also me trying the slopes, which I'm going to be using here. And I think it makes navigating these a lot better. And the difference between the caves and the other maps, and I've kind of like showcased like a map before, which is like a city, is that this particular map looks more organic. You can see that it basically goes, it has less edges, and it's less less symmetrical than the city maps. This one looks way more organic and it looks like it's going everywhere. Also, there's like mistakes that I've done because sometimes I generally do like the map first and then I test it. So this definitely needs like further testing. Of course, this map is incomplete at the moment, but this kind of got me going on the like a cave setup, which kind of ties in with the beginning of the game. So yeah, incomplete because there's nothing else here. But yeah, this was me getting started on that map. And let me see if I can show some other stuff as well. Also, I did not show this in full screen, but that's okay. Let me switch over to one of the mini games I'm gonna have, which you're gonna see this and you're gonna think this looks like a reference to Punch Out. Now, the idea behind this minigame, let me put myself in full screen. So at the moment there's like no timer, but you have the target of like 20. The idea that I have is there will be a timer ticking down, and once it ticks down, you lose. There's going to be a timer on the interface down here, and there's going to be the amount of points that you need in order to actually complete the level. Once you get to the amount of points needed, you basically win. If not, you lose the minigame. You spend medals in order to play the minigames that are going to boost your base stats. I might as well like show the gameplay instead of like talking too much, but yeah, let's go. The other idea that I have is that depending on the difficulty, of the minigames. So if you already trained like a few times, or at least more than one time, the difficulty is going to start increasing. In the beginning, the bag is not even going to move. But as you progress further, it's going to get harder and harder. And you got to basically essentially get more points. Either more points or just harder to actually score points by hitting the bag. And the other idea that I have is there will be like some things that spawn that you can get additional points, and you saw this in like a couple of games like this before, where you're basically hitting targets, and occasionally you get like a gold star or some other object that gives you more points. I want to sprinkle those around because that adds more to the game, even if it's like little, because it creates that situation of, okay, maybe I should risk it and get those points now because that might get me to the objective I need. Let's switch over to GbStudio again. The other thing that I wanted to show, and this might seem tiny, but actually there are a few things, but let me go over here to the hub, because this is another thing that I added to the hub that I was like thinking about initially, because I said I was using Super Mario Land 2 as an inspiration. And this is kind of important. So in Super Mario Land 2, you had these different areas in the map that you could go to. And once you went into like these areas, you would kind of get like a smaller overworld type thing. And I'm kind of doing the same, something very similar. I use less colors in order to like showcase like the city that is like outside, and then the area that you're standing on, that you can stand on, is kind of like done like this, so you kind of know, okay, this is what I can navigate. And if you want to leave the area that you're in, you can just go over here to the door, and then you can go back in. So that's kind of the general idea. Now, the idea behind this is that because of the training system that I have, which allows you to get 1 medal per level completed and 2 medals per boss defeated, and you only get these awards once you complete the level, it's going to have like a check mark on it. I'm probably gonna maybe change the size of like these icons a little bit, but if I interact with it, it will send me to the level. And the other idea is, if you haven't completed the previous level that is needed, you're not going to be able to do the next one. And there'll be situations where you can do 1 and then you have like 2 available, but you might have a level that might require the 2 or at least 1 to be completed. The cool thing about this is if you're having like difficulty with a boss, you could decide, okay, I am having difficulty, I'm gonna do some levels, get a few medals, and then spend them on the training segment in order to get a little bit stronger. So that's kind of like the idea behind it. So you can be like, okay, I can't do this boss yet, I want to get a bit stronger first. So yeah, this kind of sends you to like the beginning of the game at the moment, because that's that part of the map, that particular icon, that's supposed to send you to the first map. That's kind of like an intro thing that I decided. And what ends up happening is that you end up escaping, but then you can go back to that hub and keep going, because that level will be completed and you can actually do the levels afterwards. The other thing that I ended up like having like an epiphany was the user interface down here. Now, initially, this was only black because it basically drew the overlay, and which drew like a black overlay because this is 1 tile by 20, 1 vertical, 20 horizontal. And then it has the GVM script writing the icons and the variables. Now this is a little bit different because I actually kind of had an epiphany while I was playing around with draw text. And the thing that I ended up realizing is we just need the overlay, and then I basically draw the text, and the text picks up the image of the font. So basically we can actually select from the image parts of the font that we want. So for example, this segment over here on the left, the bottom left, that's an 8x8 bit of the actual font image. So essentially I'm just drawing text, even though it's an image. When you actually do the text, it's basically taking parts of the font image and putting them over there in the overlay. So this is essentially what it's doing. It's writing, it's drawing this text, which is an image, down. And this serves perfectly fine as a user interface. And if I show you, let me just open up Sprite for like a second. Which I found that pretty cool because I was actually struggling to kind of like figure out how to do like submapping and have it so the user interface shows in a very particular manner. But this simplifies it because I draw on the bottom layer once and then I draw on top again, but just with the icons and the variables, and that is much easier than the way that I was doing, at least for me. So yeah, let me just quickly get the asset that I'm talking about. This was an Sprite. Oh wait. I don't have an Sprite file, but I do have the image I've been editing. Yep, that's why I was doing it. So I'm just gonna show the image in a second, which is, let's see. Yep, it's this one. I'm gonna close this. See, OBS is showing it. Yeah. So you can see we have the letters, the special characters, and everything else. And then I did like these special characters, and then I have the user interface down here. And because this is drawing every 8x8, and I do it by hand, where I basically have it draw these very particular icons, the 28x8 tiles are filled with like these images, and then it draws the variables that I'm using and the icons on top in order to showcase what your current hit points are, or hull points, your power, and your medals. And that was an elegant way of doing it, which I find it good because well, I found it efficient because otherwise I would be spending much more time trying to figure out how the scripting works, and they would start cluttering the event page with a lot of information, and this is actually easier. And the cool thing about this is that if I wanted to make a bigger interface, it wouldn't be difficult at all. I mean, yes, it would be simplified, but it would work absolutely fine because I would do, I don't know, I would start using the other letters that I'm not using, because I don't need letters with punctuation and other special characters, but so I could end up like using the other part of the interface, fill this in with interface, like with special images that could indicate that the character's taking damage and whatnot, and I could do that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to show for the devlog. Definitely learning more about GbStudio and finding like some clever ways around certain obstacles and other things, and I think that's very good. So yeah, next time, the next devlog, I don't know if it's going to be in a week for now, but we'll see. If I have like anything like that's substantial to like show with the progress of the game, I will definitely like showcase it. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you guys next time.